Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all present today. Welcome to the fourth round of English debate competition, InterVarsity Science E-Debate Challenge 2021. The motion for this debate is, this House, as a developing country, would aggressively promote the use of alternative medicine. I will be the chairperson and the timekeeper for room 7. Let me now introduce the debaters to you. Acting as the government team for this debate is the team from UTHMA, with Susela as the Prime Minister, Shashvini as the Deputy Prime Minister, and Kenny as the government whip. Acting as the opposition team for this debate is the team from UTP, with Melson as the opposition leader, Zulfadli as the second opposition speaker, and Fifi as the opposition whip. Our panel of adjudicators consists of Aisyah Nadira as the chair adjudicators, Muhammad Afdal Khan, Muhammad Ibrahim, and Siti Aisyah. Now, we come to our debate today. To open the case from the government team, I call upon the Prime Minister to start the debate session.
Hello, can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, here.
Alright. So, good day everyone. I, as the Prime Minister from the government side, would like to stand with the motion today that this House believe as a developing country would aggressively promote the use of alternative medicine. So, firstly, before anything, I would like to define what is developing country, what is aggressively, what is the alternative medicine, and how can we promote the use of the alternative medicine. So we move on to the definition of developing country. So developing country is a country that is poor with agriculture country that is seeking to become more advanced economically and socially. For example, in Japan, it has an average life expectancy of 83.9 years, which is one of the highest globally and the third largest economy globally by nominal GDP and the fourth largest by purchasing power triple P. And another example is the Norway. According to the UN Development Report, Norway is the most developed nation in the world. Norway has an HDI of 0.954. So I'm not gonna elaborate that more. We're gonna move on next to the definition of aggressively. It means a manner in resulting from or betraying aggression and also a determined or forceful way. So next, I will move on to what is actually alternative medicine. So the government believe that the alternative medicine is a term that been described medical treatments that are used instead of traditional mainstream therapies, and some people also call it as integrative or complementary medicine. I would like to give you some example, which is acupuncture. So acupuncture is actually a traditional Chinese medicine technique that uses needles to stimulate specific points around the body, and the person who performs this therapy, an acupuncturist sticks thin sterile needles into your skin. The goal is to help your body's natural healing process kick in. Studies show that acupuncture can be effective in treating a number of conditions like neck and back pain, nausea, anxiety, depression, insomnia, infertility, and many more. The second one is that chiropractic medicine. Okay, so this one is actually focuses on the body structure, mainly is for our spine and how it functions. A trained professional called a chiropractor uses different kind of techniques to adjust and manipulate your spine or the other parts of your body so they are proper or alignment. And the third one is energy therapies. For example, magnetic field therapies. This uses magnetic or electrical fields to treat a number of musculoskeletal problems. Okay, and studies also show that it may work for osteoarthritis and other pain conditions. Next is we move on to how to promote the use of alternative medicine. Although some people would say that promoting alternative medicine has been called dangerous and unethical, but you guys have to know that the alternative medicine has already exists before any technology has been developed. Plus, for the alternative medicine, practitioner believe that one part of your body is connected to one another. Also, sometimes some diseases cannot be treated by modern medicine but can be treated by alternative medicine, and sometimes you don't have any other choice. Alternative medicine is actually valued by the society, for example, like in the USA and China, due to the revenue is increasing over the years. So the way we promote is by studying even deeper to the alternative medicine and do more research to cure the diseases, also as the backup for the modern medicine. Also, alternative medicine is highly demand for biomagnetic therapy, and magnetic resonance therapy is expected to increase the popularity of magnetic CAM intervention. The magnetic resonance therapy segment is estimated to expand at the fastest CAGR of 23.23% through the forecast period, owing to its wide acceptance among doctors, naturopaths, and patients as largely beneficial form of complementary and alternative medicine therapy. Also, wait, I'm not finished yet. Thank you. For example, in December 2019, Modern Acupuncture inaugurated a new clinic in Pinecrest, Florida, the second modern acupuncture clinic in Florida and the 54th in the US. This is expected to expand the rich acupuncture service offered by this clinic in the country, strengthening its market presence and some prominent players in the global complementary and alternative medicine market. Yes, continue with the POI, please. No POI? Okay, with that, I rest my case.
Here.
Thank you for that speech. To open the case from the opposition team, I call upon the leader of opposition to continue this debate session.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, just give me a few seconds. It's good. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. We think that on-site government, right, they clearly miscontextualize on the idea of the wording of developing and developed countries, right? They came to us and talked to us about how the developing countries is countries such as the Norway, such as Japan. We tell you that this is not true. In fact, those are countries that have already been developed. In this motion itself, we are talking about developing countries that seems to be countries are like Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. These are developing countries that are developing but are not yet developed to a stage as it is. Okay, a few responses towards that, right? The benefits that what side Gov wants to bring out to us about the benefits of alternative medicine, we tell you that these kinds of benefits do still exist on our side of the house. But on our side of the house we are doing is that on the side of aggressive promotion, we're not going to aggressively promote alternative medicine. Instead, we're going to aggressively promote mainstream medicine, which means that the medicine still do exist on our side of the house, but we're just not promoting it as a government and as a developing country. But before that, yes, sure, clarify yourself.
Thank you. My Prime Minister has clearly defined the motion of developing countries as countries that suffer economically and socially. So I think side opposition did not catch that. Thank you.
Okay, in the best case, if that is true, but the examples of developing countries that you brought up was Japan and Norway, right? And we tell you that those are countries that have already been developed and they are not part of the developing country in the first place, right? Okay, moving on. We tell you that in status quo, people can still practice people can still practice alternative medicine in a sense in our side of the house, but we are more pushed towards by the government itself, pushed towards mainstream medicine in the first place, right? Aggressive promotion looks like on our side of the house, looks like the support that is given by the government itself. There's a constant media recommendation of it in the first place, right? Okay, so we allow both options to exist on our side of the house. Why is this in the best interest of the developing country in of itself in the first place, right? Because understand, for a developing country to become a developed nation, they need to be able to raise the standards of living of their of people and the people there, right? Which means that this includes provide good healthcare towards the public for with the proper technology that is needed, which means that now they are incentivized to be able to provide this kind of good healthcare, and this good healthcare comes from the alternative medicine that is going. It comes from the mainstream medicine that is going to be provided in the first place, right? The best interest in this of developing country is that now the by on gov side, on the comparative on gov side of the house, there'll be less incentive for developing country to further up to develop their conventional medicine, right? Because most likely, people on their side of the house would slowly and strictly follow towards the traditional medicine in the first place, right? So this debate today is about who better characterizes this and what developing country wants, and who better achieves these kinds of benefit in the first place, right? We tell you that aggressive promotion towards the traditional medicine in a way itself is bad, because now it reinforces the rhetoric that alternative medicine is better even in dangerous cases, right? For example, cancer in a way itself, which means that now even if you have a headache, most likely people will opt into traditional medicine without seeking proper healthcare that is needed, right? And
You,
that
Isaac.
headache could at the end of the day turn out to be a tumor in your brain in the first place. No, thank you, I need to finish this. Okay, now we tell you that people will tend to trivialize the type of pain that they are facing, right? Which means that what might seems to be a headache might turn out to be a brain tumor, but they resort to alternative medicine because they think that alternative medicine is a curable way for these kinds of extreme kinds of diseases, right? Which means that there's a less sense of an urgency for people on gov side to respond or to seek help from professional and qualified medical professions in the first place, right? On a comparative, this looks like more people on the comparative on our side of the house. This looks like more people embracing for conventional medicine. There'll be an increased incentive for government to invest more into the healthcare, which means to build up a better system towards the healthcare itself. There'll be an incentive for foreign affairs people to come in and chip in money towards the healthcare system in the first place. This looks like big corporations finally giving their research towards the developing country, which is severely good in this case, as it helps these kind of people to far more better their conventional medicine in the first place, right? Thirdly, moving to my third argument, is that alternative medicine now contributes to the spread of an infodemic on gov side of the house, right? Understand that in this day and age now, there's a huge surge in anti-vaxxers across the country, right? This looks like not anti-vaxxers as in terms of the COVID vaccines. We can say about anti-vaxxers in terms of the Ebola virus at the same place, right? Because now there's a huge incentive for these kind of people to believe in these kinds of conspiracy, because the alternative medicine can cure various diseases, because the government itself on your side of the house is actually promoting these kinds of alternative medicine in the first place, right? So people on your side of the house will more likely not opt into conventional medicine, such as getting a vaccine, right? And this is extremely harmful in a place, because now the infectivity rate of your country would surge up really, really high, right? This is important because this is a very important point, because aggressive promotion now harms the very vulnerable people on your side of the house. This looks like the people who are poor, who depends on the government support and depends on the government healthcare system in the first place. This looks like a vulnerable people such as children itself in the first place, right? Because now government is okay in a world where people resort to cupping or acupuncture instead of vaccines, right? And this already kind of exist in Malaysia in the first place, right? So when government actively promotes traditional medicine, this means that people on the fence won't opt to taking vaccine, because the government themselves promote alternative medicines. And even if the government wants to keep traditional meds, it's constantly aggressively promotes traditional med, it gives ammunition for anti-vaxxers to gain traction and anti-vaxxers to spread this infodemic into a whole different level in the first place, right? Infectivity rate in the country will increases. Vaccines coming into the country would be at a slower rate, right? The comparative is people on your side of the house would not opt into modern meds, where on our side of the house, people would more opt into modern meds, and anti-vaxxers can grow in the power, right? We can see that examples of anti-vaxxers and sentiments that often resort to alternative medicines are like people in India eating cow dung to cure COVID-19, or conservative-minded people who only believe that certain type of fruit can cure COVID-19. Therefore, we tell you that it is far more better and essential and within the sense of urgency on our side of the house. Therefore, go with side opposition. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for their speech. To continue our debate today, I call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case for their side.
Okay, thank you, Sir Chair. A very good day to the side opposition, side government, members of the floor. I, as the Deputy Prime Minister, today would tell you why we believe that this House, as a developing country, would aggressively promote the use of alternative medicine. So before moving on to my speech, I would give you some rebuttals coming from the opposition side in today's debate. First and foremost, the opposition side did not clearly hear the definition given by our Prime Minister, in which the Prime Minister has clearly stated examples of developed countries such as Norway and Japan that still practice alternative medicine. She did not say that developing countries are Norway and Japan, but she just gave an example of developed countries still adapting alternative medicine, even if they have the access to mainstream medicine as a whole. So moving on to the rebuttals for the leader of opposition of today's debate. The main issue, like we as in this debate, what we should understand is the main issue of the debate and why we from side government would aggressively promote this alternative medicine to developing countries is first and foremost, as what side opposition has said, if a country would likely develop, they need to adopt the modern medicine in which has shown in which can cure diseases and so on. But the first place, the fact that healthcare and modern medicine is not something that these people of different social classes in developing countries itself, which mind you, I would like to define again, countries that are suffering economically as well as socially, they are not able to afford this healthcare as well as modern medicine for these diseases, and also as well as to seek treatment. And that is why in the first place they resort to alternative medicine. And that is why, looking at the fact that this is one of the way we as a responsible government would be able to help these people that are in developing countries to ensure they get proper treatment and so on, we, as stated by my Prime Minister in our mechanism on how we would like to promote the use, we would continuously increase the research in making sure that this alternative medicine would be a backup as well as something that could inevitably replace the treatment of modern medicine itself. So moving on to the another rebuttal that I would like to put out is something that happens with conventional medicine. The thing that leader of opposition has put out in his speech just now is that he said that example, if you have cancer and so on and it's a headache and people don't if you submit to alternative medicine, you will actually think it was just a headache and people don't actually know it's a tumor and so on. The problem is that the same thing happens with conventional medicine. If you think about it, if you go to the doctors and you clear out your symptoms, the main thing people will talk about would be there will always be a drug to mask those symptoms. So in the first place, these conventional medicines are not actually playing a role to treating the specific disease as a whole. But the same thing applies to alternative medicine. We are not saying alternative medicine is the cure to everything, as said by my first speaker, but it is a way to help relieve these symptoms and help the people in these developing countries, also known as second world countries, to be more accessible to this medicine so that they can heal themselves. And that is why we from side government aggressively promote this. So now moving on to my points under the key substances of we believe medicine is for all. So under the substances of we believe medicine is for all, I would like to talk about the first point of today's we would like to talk about the first point of today's motion coming from the government side, which would be cost effective. As we know, developing countries, as stated in the definition again just now, are countries that suffer economically as well as socially. So there is an economic gap between first world countries, second world countries, and these third world countries. So the second world countries, which are Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on, they do not have the same amount of accessibility to any to medicines or treatments as first world countries have. So as alternative medicine, we believe it is a cost-effective procedure because, as we know, there are several social classes in all countries, and especially in developing countries, each social class does not have a small economic gap between them, but each of it has actually a very large gap between them, in which those who are wealthier are able to afford more intense treatments, whereas people who are not as wealthy, people who are poorer, they are able to only resort to these alternative medicine procedures. So why we believe that as medicine is for all, we believe that aggressively promoting this use of alternative medicine would actually help all social classes of these developing countries to make sure they get this proper treatment. And since we believe, as what my first speaker from the government has said, because this practice has been implemented for such a long time, it has been proven to work many times as well. An example I would be giving: in December 2019, there was a research where modern acupuncture inaugurated a new clinic in Pinterest, Florida, where the second modern acupuncture clinic in Florida and the 54th in the US. This is expected to expand and reach of acupuncture services offered by this clinic because it has shown multiple results in proving to help people who did not actually receive proper treatment and also did not receive proper feedback from the medicine, from conventional medicine that they have taken. So we believe that by aggressively promoting the use of this alternative medicine, which is considered natural by most people, we are able to help relieve certain symptoms and also help them, which is a last resort for them to cure themselves in many ways. So one of the biggest reasons why we would like to aggressively promote the use is because we believe that a drug or a pill is not the cure for everything. We say yes, we are living longer due to those set drugs and everything in conventional medicine, but are we living a better life? So we, as a responsible government, to provide a better life, a better future, and also all access to medicine to all people in developing countries, we believe that by aggressively promoting the use of alternative medicine, we would be able to provide free proper healthcare for all. And with that, have never been prouder to propose the motion. And thank you. I rest my case.
I would like to thank the speaker for their remarks. Now, I call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition to continue the case for their side.
Here.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I prefer PIs to be like verbally, like you unmute and then you tell me what to PI, because I don't think I can have chat box open. Give me a moment. Just finish my notes. Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. I think it's clear that government lost its debate the moment that they didn't want to contextualize to you the issue that's happening in developing nations, right? They give you all this data about how developed countries who already don't even suffering the issues that we're talking about in this debate have benefited of alternative medicine, without actually giving you the actual argumentation as to why like acupuncture can actually work inside these developing nations contexts, right? Furthermore, they never want to tell you the exact interest of developing countries. That they only tell you that, oh, we want to like become a developed nation, but actually not telling you, giving you the steps as to how that promoting all this can lead you towards these benefits, right? I think my extension is going to be clear. I'm going to actually I'm just going to show you the roadmap as to how medical healthcare is already accessible in developing nations, and in fact it will continue to be even more accessible under our world when you continue to push for conventional medicine and conventional medicines instead of alternative medicines, right? We think this extension is very important as it clashes with the crux of DPM speech, saying things like, oh, people are so poor in developing nations, they can't even afford things like Panadol, but somehow can afford like acupuncture for some reason. So now, but then before I move on into that crux of the argument, few responses, right? Number one, PM gives so much facts and data regarding towards developing nations, right? Even tell you about as to how Japan has like very high life expectancy, right? Why, like, there was no contextualization as to the problems that are happening on the ground in Malaysia or in countries like Thailand, countries like Sri Lanka, where these people are vying for conventional methods, right? Again, both PM and DPM no engagement with medicine regarding as to how the anti-vax movement will grow under their world. Never engage with the idea that healthcare will look even worse under their world because people don't want to invest in it, and there's no engagement whatsoever talking about the infodemic or even talking about the degrees as to how acupuncture can help you in various ways, right? But sure, we'll take them at their best. So let's move on to this extension, right? What is the issue in status quo right now, right? Sure, we recognize that developing countries, as Melissa mentioned earlier, they want to actually cater to the people on the ground. They want to give them healthcare and whatnot, right? Here's the thing this is an important fact, right? Malaysia is one of the top best healthcares across the world because of the sheer fact of how socialized it is. Socialized healthcare looks like, it means that no matter where you are, no matter your race, no matter your background, you can always line up for very cheap and accessible medicine, right? You got a headache, go to your local clinic, get some Panadol, be over with. If you have a bacterial infection, go get very cheap antibiotics from your doctors who actually been training for 5-10 who've been training for a long time to become the medical professionals they are. And it's a shame that government says things like, oh, like doctors could be wrong, but somehow these people who practice like acupuncture are somehow even more right than these doctors who have been learning medicine for such a long period of time, right? But sure, the very fact that healthcare is already socialized in this country already showed to you that we take down this notion that, oh, it's like people are so poor they can't buy this medicine, right? But sure, even if like people like still want to practice acupuncture, they still believe that, oh, like these things work and all these benefits are true. Opposition is not going to ban people from practicing alternative medicine. In fact, if these people truly believe that all the benefits that government mentioned is true, then we're more okay than these people to actually practice acupuncture. Anyway, we are not okay when an official body straight up tell the populace that, hey, acupuncture can cure all diseases. Like you should actually do acupuncture instead of going to your local clinics to actually get medicine for things, right? Because the thing is that once you trust alternative medicine too much, you reach a point at which you can't reverse all of these notions. You already given the animation that the anti-vax gets to further reinforce their beliefs. You actually tell people, you actually tell fence sitters that, oh, I don't need to go to the hospital. I just do some acupuncture or some cupping, right? Or homeotherapy, right? But even if panel still wants to buy that equality is still a thing, we are willing to trade off a very small minority of people who can't access this medicine for a future generation where everyone is vaccinated, everyone has access to healthcare, everyone able to tap into this conventional methods, right? We already showed you the structure of our in Austin's speech, but I'll further nuance it, right? We tell you that once you have a lot of people actually depending on the socialized healthcare system, that incentivizes politicians and your government leaders to actually act up towards the people and give them what they deserve. If more people want to vote politicians who will improve the healthcare system, then it's incentive for all these leaders to actually improve healthcare system, make it even more accessible, put more hospitals in your rural areas, put more actually incentivize more people to become doctors, right? All of these incentives and all of these all of these benefits is only exclusive in under our world, because for a healthcare to become accessible, there has to be demand from the people on the ground to make it accessible. This doesn't happen under government's world because everyone's depending on acupuncture, which somehow is cheaper for some reason compared to the antibiotics that we have like in your local clinics, which by the way, like government never want to engage with, right? But before I move on into like which side actually like which side feel the burden, any POIs? I'll take that as a no. All right, moving on. All right, so what has opposition actually brought into the debate? We actually clarified that this debate is about developing nations, right? Although like government want to say that, oh, we're actually like when PM meant this instead. But recognize that the clear cut thing to take away is that PM failed to actually contextualize the issue in happening in developed countries, right? They, at best, they only mention to you like these people want to reach developed countries, right? On the other hand, opposition clearly defined to you what are developing countries' interests and actually how we get there. Right? We tell you that our alternative of just like pushing people towards conventional medicine instead of alternative medicine is much more favorable. We actually get more incentive for people to invest in healthcare. We actually make healthcare more accessible, which by the way deals with DPM, and we actually at the end of the day be able to provide a future generation where everyone takes vaccines. Right? Government never engage with all of our harms. They say things like, oh, acupuncture can't solve everything, but this is quite conflicting coming from PM and DPM, right? We think that the alternatives that they mentioned, like antibiotics, like antivirals, like your painkillers already exist and are very more accessible on the ground. We don't like, although equality is a thing and we can inequality is a thing that happens in developing countries. We rather trade off for a long term benefit of being able to have future generations, better, healthier future generations, in combined with the fact that social healthcare is already existing. Proud to oppose.
I would like to thank the speaker for their remarks. Ladies and gentlemen and the honorable adjudicators, I shall now call upon the government whip to rebut. Kenny?
Hello.
Okay.
I'll start in. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a small a nation that doesn't have the buying power, a nation that doesn't have the technology to create advanced medicine, a nation that doesn't have proper treatment. So we see countries like Afghanistan, we see countries like Kenya has to rely on alternative medicine to a certain extent in order to survive for their sustainability. Because this conventional medicine that we are talking about in this debate is not available to them as they don't have the technology, they don't have the proper machinery in order to mass produce this to cater to their citizens. But so what is the clashes that happens in today's debate? Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition and side government has brought up the case where we agreed on that the usage that we are comparing the usage which medicine is better. Is it the modern medicine or is it the alternative medicine? And here we are going to say that hey, modern medicine, yes, you might be licensed, you might be authorized, you might have been recognized, but we are not going to diminish the fact that alternative medicine does provide certain level of effectiveness when it comes to treating people, when it comes to giving people a chance to heal themselves. So, looking into the arguments that has been presented by side opposition in today's debate. So the first thing is that they mentioned about how this whole agenda of creating medicine or conventional medicine is a far better idea, and it can lead to building and stretching out the medical facility that we have right now. The thing is, we would be doing that if we have the money allocation in the first hand. Why would we even bother to look into other alternatives if we can simply give our money and purchase medicine that has a high effective rate? But our main focus in today's debate is that we are focusing on developing countries. Developing countries we can include Malaysia. Yes, they have included Malaysia, but we see other developing countries that still not be able to catch up with with certain developing countries, like as mentioned, Malaysia. We have like Kenya and Afghanistan, where they still have to rely on these cheap alternatives, which because they don't have, as mentioned, they don't have the ability to purchase a better medicine. So when it comes to conventional medicine, like really, ladies and gentlemen, we do concede to the fact that yes, and not all alternative medicine can cure diseases. So when it comes to, like, let's say COVID-19, we have like influenza, we have H1N1 and whatsoever. We concede to the fact that not every the alternative answer cannot give you all the answer, but your side has to admit to the fact that conventional medicine does not have the answer to everything as well. Because if you were to look into the statistic that has been provided by my first speaker, 40% of the big players and in the safe and healthcare industry actually implemented alternative medicine in order to cure people. They actually uses this type of method because they through research and through their development, they actually rely on this method to give out to people. And we can also see developed countries like China and England and France as well. They have been implementing, they have been applying this alternative medicine because they believe that because they believe that alternative medicine can actually help to defeat diseases that conventional medicine cannot. So when it comes back to the part where I mentioned about the developing nation, all right. So as I've mentioned, developing nations they don't have that ability. They don't have the buying power. They don't have the technology in order to consume, in order to produce conventional medicine. Therefore, their only resort is alternative medicine. So at the end of the day, they somehow it's illogical for you to say that, hey, let's build a better healthcare. Let's give them all of this technology. Let's force them to have all of this conventional medicine. But because conventional medicine is the best in the market. But as I've mentioned, if we can do that, then we would have been doing this in the first place, and we wouldn't have this debate to begin with. So moving into the effectiveness of alternative medicine. As mentioned by my first speaker, we have listed out a few alternative medicine or a few alternative techniques that has been approved by the big players. My first speaker has mentioned acupuncture, chiropractic medicine, as well as magnetic field therapy. So this method has actually been recognized by even the big players, where the effectiveness is there and people are using it in order to cure the disease. Sure, handing out vaccines like global pandemic, when looking at global pandemic, like as mentioned, will not take alternative medicine into account due to the insustainability of this medicine, as it has not been proven. But in other cases, in cases where we wanted to provide a better treatment for people that doesn't have the ability to buy a better healthcare, then we think that it is the best choice for them. It is the best thing that we can offer, at least for now. Because not everyone can go to your clinic and then simply pay off, that 100 ringgit for that medical treatment cost and for your cough syrup. If everyone can do that, then we don't have to debate about this in the first place. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to proud to propose. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. It is now time to listen to the rebuttals of Opposition Whip.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, here.
Just a moment, yes. So what is this debate about actually? Is it about whether or not alternative medicines are good versus conventional medicine? Or is it about the idea of actively promoting these alternative medicines? I think that this is something that government clearly failed to analyze right from the very get-go. And they kept giving us responses and comparisons as to alternative medicines versus conventional medicines. Panel, that is not the debate, right? This debate is whether or not it is in the best interest of these developing countries to actually promote actively the use of these alternative medicines, right? Something which we kept on clarifying, but they never wanted to respond to that, right? So before that, let me tackle the whole idea of cost effectivity in the first place because that's quite disturbing. Firstly, these developing countries are countries including Malaysia, Indonesia, and a large portion of Southeast Asian countries, and also other developing countries around the world. Are these developing countries so poor to the point that they cannot afford any type of medicine at all? Right? I think that the whole cost effective argument can be responded in two ways. Firstly, who are the people, who are the stakeholders involved in developing countries? Is everyone so poor, or do you have different levels of people in the social economic strata, right? We think that at least, even if they wanted to protect these vulnerable people, it may be minorities, it may be some disenfranchised people. We concede that there may be some people who cannot afford, but a large majority of developing countries consist of people from the M40, from T20, groups of society, right? We think that they are still able to afford conventional medicine, and I think that even if the whole cost effectivity argument is for you to protect these minorities, I think that that is a small percentage of these developing countries, and it doesn't give. And even if you want to take that marginal benefit and weigh it to the tangible harms that your aggressive promotion entails, I think that the tangible harms greatly outweighs the marginal benefits that you want to protect in the beginning, right? Any POIs? No. Okay. So I've clarified to you why the cost-effective argument falls under their side. But then again, yeah, let's analyze first and foremost the flaws that came under government side. So firstly, government failed to fulfill the context of this debate, and they also failed to analyze the stakeholders involved. Right. So in developing country, they only narrowed down their discussion as to people who cannot afford and people who can afford. But they didn't analyze that there are different spectrums of people in terms of mindset, right? There are neutral people who can go for both conventional and alternative meds. But there are also extremely conservative people who only want to opt for alternative medicines. And there are also people on the fence who are 50-50. They're not sure if they want to go for alternative medicines or or conventional medicine, right? Why is this problematic for these two spectrums of people? Because when you have active promotion, you are actively steering the mindsets of these people and their ability to make rational decisions. Why is that also a problem? Because by the end of the day, you are sort of dictating what is best for them when they can actually make better decisions on their own without having to have this overarching narrative from the government of that developing country, right? I think it's much better. We prefer a world where people can actually make rational, autonomous decisions without being dictated into biased decisions, without having to believe that alternative medicine is way much better than conventional medicine. Under our world, we allow both options to exist. We allow alternative medicine to be there, but we just don't actively promote it. But at the same time, we also have conventional medicine, and we think that it's much better for us to even actively promote this conventional medicine as opposed to this alternative medicines, right? But then, second question: let's analyze why people seek alternative medicines in the first place. Because A, they are not satisfied with conventional treatment. B, they think that alternative treatments are seen to offer more personal autonomy and control over healthcare decisions. And C, they think alternative medicines are more compatible with the patient's values. This directly ties to my point of people who are on the fence just now, right? So, why does this happen in the first place? This happens because these people are not satisfied with the information available out there given by their healthcare systems of the governments, right? Why is this much better under our world, and how would it look like for the healthcare system in these developing countries? We think that how we measure a successful healthcare system is by number one, the effectiveness of the medicines, number two, the ability to cure a large percentage of the population in your country, and number three, faster cooperation to combat illnesses and outbreaks, for example, COVID-19 or any sort of illness in the country, Ebola or Zika virus whatsoever, right? I think that under your world, this kind of fast cooperation with for your healthcare system cannot happen, because when you allow active promotion of those alternative medicines, it reduces the incentive for your developing country to enhance conventional medicine and distribution of conventional medicine, for example, vaccines or medicines that's already been proven to work, right? So what happens when you aggressively promote, right? So I think we've done a pretty good job in analyzing the repercussions of active promotion of alternative medicine. Number one, you reinforce the rhetoric that alternative medicine is much better, even in dangerous cases where you might have cancer, but you think alternative medicine or some sort of pill can just cure it. I think that this will result to people trivializing the type of pain that they are facing, and there's a less of urgency for these people to respond or seek help from medical professionals. What is the comparative? Your best case scenario is that, okay, maybe some people can afford to these alternative medicines by the end of the day. But the worst case scenario under your side is that there will be a larger shift of these people towards alternative medicine, that because of this overarching narrative that you portray, right? But under our side, we propose for a better healthcare system where you don't have this active promotion of alternative medicines. We allow both alternatives to exist, and we don't dictate the people's choices by the end of the day, right? But also why it's harmful for this aggressive promotion. We've already told you that it will reduce the incentive of your healthcare system to improve, right? Because now that you have alternative medicine, oh yeah, maybe you just resort to alternative medicine. We don't have to improve our current conventional medicines. Panel, there is a huge complacency in their world when they only resort to alternative medicines, right? Because of this overarching narrative and aggressive promotion. The comparative is that we want to achieve by the end of the day is we want more people to embrace conventional medicines. They understand the severity of the diseases that they are facing, and there's increased incentive also for the government to invest more into healthcare. Panel, if you want a better outcome for healthcare system as a whole, don't actively promote alternative medicine. We're proud to oppose. Thank you.
Now that we have heard all the three speakers from both teams, we shall take a short break of 1 minute. During this time, both the government and the opposition teams will prepare the reply speech. The 1 minute short break starts now. The time of 1 minute has ended. I shall now invite the second speaker from the opposition team to deliver the reply speech.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, this is an actor debate. This debate has to be about which side fulfills the actor's interest, i.e., the developing countries, and which side actually goes all the way and shows to you the proper steps as to how you're able to reach those interests to be achieved in the first place, right? Like recognize that throughout all three speeches, all three speeches, like we've been very engaging with government as to the benefits of alternative medicine, but yet we've seen no form of engagement as to how government wants to take their worst case scenario. They never want to deal. They want to deal with the anti-vax movement. They want to deal with the infodemic. Never want to deal with as to how they want to improve healthcare, which is an interest of the developing nation. And worst of all, they went as so far as to say like, oh, like if conventional medicine is so good, then why are we been debating this? Then the parallel is also true. If alternative medicine is so good and so great, why have been having this debate in the first place? I'll tell you why. It's because that we have to properly analyze which side actually better reaches a more foreseeable future and a more healthier future for our children, for our B40 cluster, for our people who may be like anti-vax, for all these people. We want to protect all these people. We want to give them all the healthcare that they deserve, right? Notice how throughout all three speeches, the government was struggling to even like take down the effects of conventional medicines, right? They went on harping onto this as to why alternative medicine is better than conventional medicine, without actually like breaking down the cost effectiveness. Without breaking down the cost effectiveness, they do all this within developed countries like France, Japan, Norway, and whatnot, right? These countries already have good healthcare. These countries already have like very good conventional healthcare. So of course, the next step would be to just go enter to alternative healthcare. That's not the same case with countries like Malaysia, Thailand, and whatnot. People like healthcare is still not as accessible. Although it's accessible, it's not to the same degree as developed nations, right? So that's what this debate's about. So which side was more engaging, and which side actually break down the processes as to how we get better healthcare, right? Opposition takes government's best case scenario of a world where everyone's doing acupuncture, everyone's doing cupping, everyone is like no longer everyone is like not being able to feel all these benefits, right? We show to you how the harms outweigh all of these benefits, right? Like the harms of like reinforcing the beliefs of the anti-vax community, the harms of like having governments wash their hands off improving the healthcare community. Everyone's doing alternative medicine. We don't need to actually improve the social healthcare. Let's keep it as it is. Like a lot of these harms, like even from the start, Melson telling you as to how they already got the definitions wrong, as to how Melson was forced to actually contextualize the issue, although it was the government's job. Shows to you how opposition takes the best case and deals with it, right? But sure, how about the converse, right? Do we deal with governments like worst case? Yeah, we did. Government tells us our worst case, people are so poor they cannot cannot afford all this medicine. They can't afford conventional medicines in like African nations and whatnot, right? We tell you, sure, there's already things to mitigate this: socialized healthcare, government initiatives to actually give money to the B40 cluster, things like free vaccinations towards the general populace, right? Already a lot of these mechanisms already in society, right? But we tell you that even if all those don't exist, we rather trade that off for a world where everyone opts into conventional medicine, where the next children, with the push of their parents to actually push for a better healthcare system, be able to create a more and more accessible healthcare to the same degree of developed nations, right? We are the side that shows you the step as to how to do that. That all these incentives and all of these interests will not happen under government's world. It happens under oppositions. We take the worst case scenario and we still show you how we able to gain long-term benefits. None of this from government. Go with some opposition.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. I shall now call upon the Prime Minister from the government team to deliver their reply speech.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Alright, I
Yes.
shall start this. Okay, so I, as the Prime Minister from the government side, would like to do the reply speech and would like to highlight and to tell all of you why we should win this debate. Firstly, like the opposition side has told us that the alternative medicine practice will delay the distribution of the conventional medicine. But this mentality isn't detrimental at all since the big corporation has been taking alternative medicine. Secondly, the alternative medicine has already existed before the technology like earlier I've mentioned before. Next is some diseases cannot be cured by modern medicine and there's no choice but to just do all the alternative medicine. Secondly is like the Deputy Prime Minister from the government side has said that it is cost effective because as she mentioned earlier, not everyone are able to afford it. And then it will save your money and it is not necessary and dangerous. Plus, why want to waste money when you can get cured in more cost effective, isn't it? Next is when the opposition side said about not taking vaccination, clearly they did not hear us properly, as I've said earlier, that we would promote this as the backup for modern medicine, and also we did not even mention that we do not believe in doctor. It's just a backup for medicine. Not all disease should be cured by drug, as mentioned by the Deputy Prime Minister from the government side. Next is that the fact that we have stated from the first till the last speaker that we concede to the fact that alternative medicine do not fix all ailments, but the same goes to conventional medicine. Before I end my speech, I would like to clarify that the example of countries I've given earlier is only the example of first world and not like the second developing country like Malaysia or Indonesia. With that, as the government side, we strongly stand that developing country would aggressively promote the use of alternative medicine. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you. We have now come to the end of the debate. Debaters are asked to remain in this room while waiting for the adjudicators to make a decision. Adjudicators are reminded to move to the adjudicators discussion room in the Cisco WebEx via the link provided. Thank you.
Okay, bye y'all.
Hi Daniel, we meet again.
Yes.
Are you like the adjudicator for room 7 throughout the whole debate? And adjudicator pula
No,
chairperson.
only for round 1, round 3, and round 4.
Oh, I see. I think I heard like the fifth round, the final round is like a silent round, right?
Yes.
So okay. Alright. You guys are all from UTP?
Yeah.
What year are you guys in? First year, second years?
Nelson, I think, is in foundation. I just got out of school. um, 50, I think, is final year, and I personally second year.
Ah, I see. So I think you and Afifi and also Nelson, are you guys like in debate before? Because the way you guys debated was like so familiar.
I'm not sure about Nelson and Fifi, but I think I only started like properly debating, like, I guess, during foundation. Was it like foundation? I didn't get much training, but my training only intensified after the first year. So when I guess I get training like crazy.
That's nice. We are all still newbies, so
Got it. Are y'all on campus?
Only Kenny's on campus.
We're at home.
Kenny's the only person like stuck there, unable to go home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Daniel,
also stuck on campus.
Yes.
which university are you from? Are you still
I'm
studying?
from UKM. Yes,
Okay.
second year.
UKM Bangi or the
Bangi, the one in KL is for medicine.
What course are you taking, Daniel?
I'm mathematics student.
Oh, same like me.
Seriously?
Seriously.
I never found another mathematics student outside my faculty.
she's a mathematics freak. She knows everything.
Not really. It's not that I know everything, but can do lah.
I don't like mathematics. No. I cannot do mathematics, my goodness.
When you decide to pick this course, this mathematics course, do you really just like study the course or because you like numbers?
Because I like the whole thing.
I see.
Mm.
For me, initially I like numbers, but then when I go through second year, there's no numbers. There's just
It's all
explanation.
alphabet.
Don't worry,
Yes.
even us in the first year, entering the second sem, we don't even find any numbers anymore. Everything's disappear, just like that.
In my course, I am only like required to take calculus and statistics. That one also, I feel like dying already. I don't know like how you can. Especially this calculus also can terima, like the statistic. My goodness, I hate statistics.
The one in the UTP are in the campus or at home?
I'm at home. Fifi's also at home, but Zul's stuck in campus.
So stuck in campus or choose to stay in campus?
I had to like get sent back here for my lab, my practical lab session, and then the lab closed because of FMCO. I came here like 27th of like May, and then like 2 days after, oh guys, we're gonna close the lab. It's MCO, and so now I've been stuck here in my room like almost a month already. So sad.
So like you can't go back home in any way, is it?
You cannot go back home. Cannot even leave campus. That means that if you want to go
my
Tesco and like buy stuff, cannot.
You're
Yeah.
just staying in there
So
without
how
able to
do you
anywhere?
get food supply?
There's like 2 cafes here where like all the food comes in, so like you can like buy food, I guess.
Do you like get
but-
good Wi-Fi?
Good what?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. Like you can study, but you can't play video games as nicely. Yeah.
So you guys really cannot go out from the campus at all?
Yeah. So say like you want to buy stuff from Tesco and like say like you ran out of like soap, you ran out of plastic bag sampah and all, like it's game over lah.
Oh my
Done.
god. Don't you guys have any runner there?
The runners, because like our only runners were only the food panda, like the food mart, food mart, grab mart semua. But recently, like for some reason, like the Tesco, like the only department store there, like they removed it from the food panda for some reason. So now like there's no way you can get supplies outside.
Like Tesco's been taken over by another company right now. I think it's Lotus.
Really?
Yeah, because in my area in Johor Bahru, all the Tesco's are like Lotus now. It's no more Tesco at all.
Okay, I have to download that.
I think they're progressively moving out.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
So how long do you think that you will be stuck in the campus?
I still have to do my lab, so
Until the end of the semester lah.
I probably have to stay here even after the semester ends, because like when the semester after the finals finish, like the lab is still incomplete, so you can't proceed to the next semester. So I'm thinking, what, September? Yeah, I'm thinking
So
September.
long though.
Yeah, sad.
So like the new semester starts in October, right?
Oh wait, I just realized the new semester is in September. Oh my god, I have to stay here again. Whoa, I'm gonna be stuck here to the end of the year. Wow, it's
It's okay,
insane.
bro. Stay strong. You can do it.
Thank you.
Just because we never go to campus, we can say that lah. So
Yeah,
we were stuck in
We
campus.
never experienced it.
At home.
never
We're just the
experienced.
same.
Our
Uh,
campus is not like in a modern area. You know, it's like we are stuck in Pago. So like Pago doesn't have anything.
In the middle of a
yeah,
jungle,
yeah.
man.
educator, are you ready to give the deliberation?
Yes, I'm here to give out the
Okay,
results.
you may start now.
Hi everyone, can you see me? Okay.
Yes.
Hi and good evening to all. So it's been tiring. Thank you for still debating. Thank you for still staying motivated. So this house, as a developing country, would aggressively promote the use of alternative medicine. So I'll give out a general feedback, a general review. Okay, so based on a few clashes, which is number one, I don't know. Okay, the thing is, right, about this debate, it hurts. It hurts since the get go because there's less characterization. So imagine going on to this debate, PM said that she would define developing country, but then the definition of developing country is quite vague because then she said something about Japan being developed country and Norway being developed country, and then she fixed it throughout the debate. But it's okay, never mind. It's just a mistake that happened. Okay, yeah, but it could have been more clearer. It could have been better since the get go. Number one, number two, you also didn't define what aggressively promote is. Therefore, it hurts throughout the debate. Would aggressively promote means plastering advertisement throughout social media? Would it be like endorsing, having celebrities endorsing your brand, or is it like giving out brochures? What do you give out proper education to everyone about alternative medicine? I would have, if I were to be government, I would say that I would want a better education towards alternative medicine. I believe that developing country is a country that is economically stable enough for us to opt into different options rather than just conventional medicine. Therefore, we opt into alternative medicine, but I didn't hear any of it. And also, OP also did not really question about how they would aggressively promote this. So it's something that is redundant throughout the debate. Yeah, it hurts me as an edge to see that. Okay, also, okay, so defining alternative medicine, okay, you guys did that. And then moving on to the debate. So when you talked about alternative debate, PM already said that she wanted to have, she wanted to replace conventional medicine to, she wanted to replace conventional medicine with alternative medicine. But towards the end of the debate, all of the speakers said that, oh, it's okay, we just think that it's a backup plan. It's something that is extra, an effort that people make to, people, consumers make, patients make to actually achieve a better health condition and stuff like that. So that's a bit of contradiction there, I believe, and those aim is not achieved at the end of the debate. Okay, so let's move on to clashes. So clashes, right? One of the most unexpected clashes that happened in this debate is cost efficient. Cost efficiency has been tackled by opposition side, and I believe that it has been characterized by opposition, not tangibly, but they did say something like, oh, why do you think people can't afford Panadol when they can somehow purchase or perform acupuncture when acupuncture literally costs like 100 ringgit per sessions, and God knows how many sessions that you need for acupuncture, and chiropractics also cost a lot, like 300 ringgit, 500 ringgit per sessions. So those kind of treatments actually do cost a lot. And how does that caters to government hospitals that we can only pay 1 to 2 ringgit to get healthcare that we wanted? So that is something questionable that side government did not answer. Yeah, they only say that, hey, they are poor people, so therefore poor people needs to have options. They need to have an option where they can use alternative medicine because they cannot afford conventional medicine. But then again, who is these poor people, and is conventional medicine really cheap as you say? So that's something that side government needs to clarify, because in the end of the debate, I, as a logical person, even though I did not impose any of my ideas towards the debate, I still know that conventional medicine is not necessarily as cheap. Okay, and then secondly, characterizing developing country. So characterizing developing country has been hurtful throughout the debate, but then there's some like bleeps here and there that side government have said and side opposition have said. But the bottom line that I can say is developing countries all have their parts. There are poor people and there are rich people in a certain developing country. So the only reasonable argument that I can say happened in today's debate is that you guys have said that government needs to invest in conventional healthcare, and saying and meaning that if if you are aggressively promoting alternative medicine, therefore it disrupts government's effort to invest in conventional healthcare. I think that's a bit of far-fetched argument, but I don't think government tackle it. So in the end of the day, it kind of stands, but not really have the logical link to it, as in why does it stand? It's just there, but it can be rebutted. Okay, and then the third clash would be, is alternative medicine better than conventional medicine? So by the end of the side opposition is more consistent in saying that, hey, conventional medicine did have the black and white to it, did have proper research to it, therefore it is consistently and factually more accurate and more consistent than conventional medicine. Therefore, but inside government, they say that alternative medicine is actually effective, but throughout the end of the debate, they would say, oh yeah, it's just an option, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's fine, blah, blah, blah. So I hope that y'all should be more firm since the beginning to what direction you guys will go in. Therefore, the clash would go to side opposition. And lastly, how would promoting be bad? I think this is something that opposition side has brought up, but did not being engaged by side government. So side opposition has said that it's bad because, number one, even in dangerous cases, you guys trivialize your own symptoms or trivialize your own health, and you do not seek for professional healthcare because of the heavy promotions that happen from side alternative medicine. So I don't hear any comeback from side opposition that's saying that, yeah, we aggressively promote it, but we promote it in an educational way. We promote it in a way that say that, hey, here's the pros and cons of alternative medicine. Therefore, it's up to you to opt into alternative medicine or to not opt into alternative medicine. Reason being why we wanted to aggressively promote alternative medicine, because it's not as promoted enough. It's not as famous enough as conventional medicine. So in place where people are hopeless, in place where people did not know what to do anymore, in place where conventional medicine did not work on certain patients, alternative medicine would be there for you, but we are certainly educating people about it. So I would want to hear that, but it didn't happen in the debate. I feel like it would have been better if you guys did that. So in that sense, I think promoting aggressively the use of alternative medicine is bad, and nobody tackled that. Okay, let's move on. In that sense, you guys can just conclude that the winning side is side opposition. Congrats. Okay, so let's move on to speaker by speaker. So basically, for speakers, I don't think you have anything. I have anything to say. But then you spat out like a lot of factual statements, but did not have any logical links to it. Did not have a proper conclusion to it. You only said that, oh, there's high demands on magnetic treatments and strengthening its positions in the market. I mean, okay, but then how does that benefit a certain stakeholder? How does that benefit the consumer? Since I think on this debate, y'all have subconsciously agree that the lowest common denominator would be the patients. The lowest common denominator would be the healthcare industry. So yeah, I don't think it benefits the lowest common denominator in any way. It only benefits the places, the businesses that use alternative medicine. Okay, and then move on to LO. Yeah, you called out about the inconsistency of examples, and you talked about need to be able to increase healthcare quality to be the country, less incentive, blah, blah, blah. And I accepted your analysis of it's bad because, number one, dangerous cases need to see proper healthcare and trivialized disease. I think that's a fairly okay analysis. But then when you said government needs to invest in conventional healthcare, I think that's a fairly shallow argument. I don't know where you're going with it. Yeah. And then you talked about alternative med spreads infodemic anti-vaxxers. Also, yeah, this is also a point that never been tackled by side government, and so it stands. Believing in these types of conspiracies will not likely opt into vaccines, but alternative medicine. People on the fence will be empowered, blah blah blah. Yeah. So it's that in certain cases where people say, oh, if you can just smell bunga cengkeh or something like that, it would prevent COVID. So in those kind of circumstances, how does your aggressively promoting of alternative medicine would better combat these ideas, would better promote the healthy idea of how people should use alternative medicine wisely, rather than just jump into tips or false information that have been spread online or whatever. And then DPM said that reasons why they opt into alternative medicine is because they can't afford to pay for conventional medicine. So government also argued about this, and then opposition said that if they can't afford to pay it, then government should do a better job in expanding healthcare and a better job to actually make healthcare more accessible. So I took that. And you talked about backup research and replace modern medicine. That's a bit of a stretch, yeah. And then not playing a role to treat, there's no guarantee for conventional medicine as well. Okay, you can always in debate, you can always say, oh yes, you're not guaranteed and I'm not guaranteed. But then where are you going with it? I need to hear something. And yes, we're not guaranteed, but why are we mutually exclusive? Why the benefits on our side is mutually exclusive? I need to hear those analyses. Therefore, then I can credit y'all. And then you have a statement called medicine is for all, cost effective, countries that are suffering, not accessible as first world. I need more characterization on that. Will help all social classes. They not have proper way to get treatment, blah, blah, blah. Drugs and pills, not everything, living a better life, access to all meds, proper healthcare to all. I think that's a very like apocalypse kind of analysis, from drugs and pills, not everything, to proper healthcare to all. I think that's a leap. Yeah, I need you to frame it for me. I need you to pack it better for me. Because drugs and pills, not everything, living a better life, and then access to all medication. How does alternative medicine makes it accessible to all? I mean, if acupuncture is like 100 ringgit per session, then how is it accessible? Okay. And then the LO said that people are poor, can't afford Panadol, but somehow can purchase. Yeah, no engagement, blah, blah, doctors are more reliable. Yeah, doctors can be wrong, but they have been undergoing like trainings and blah, blah. Improve healthcare system to be accessible, okay, blah, 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 yeah. And then with minister said that does give a certain level of effectiveness, where we lost our money to something that is not sure. And okay, why would we lose our money to something that is not sure? And how are you as conventional medicine sure of your treatments? Yeah, I mean, like in those kind of cases, it's very hard to argue because conventional medicine has their own fair share of contribution towards healthcare, but it's not as big as conventional medicine. So you need to properly word it for you to make sense. And then you talked about Kenya and Afghanistan needs to rely on cheap alternatives, blah 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 blah. Okay, but then what? Okay, so if Kenya and Afghanistan needs to rely on cheap alternative, does that mean that alternative medicines would all be cheap? And does that mean that it would be better to promote it because it's cheap? Like the reason why you aggressively promote it because it's cheap. Yeah, I need further elaboration on that. And you all said that not every alternative medicine cater to all diseases. Also have to admit that conventional medicine also is unsure. Okay, developed countries use alternative medicine because they believe that it's effective. Okay, but where's the logic? Okay, so these are like testimonies. Like all I'm hearing is testimonies. Like, oh, Kenya and Afghanistan use it, and it's cheap, it's good. But then countries like who is this? Who did y'all say? Developed countries also use alternative medicine. Therefore, it's also effective. So I don't really know where is this testimonies going. I don't hear, oh, because of this is effective to this, therefore it gives a logical link that it means that alternative medicine is better than conventional medicine. Yeah, I need to hear the logical link to it. Why do you give out these testimonies to me? And then you also say illogical to say that we want to provide better treatment when they can't afford healthcare. So this is shows that they are pressed to take. Okay, I think that one is a fairly a fair argument that you can throw out, but since it comes from with minister, so I can't really credit it as substance. Yeah. And then Opwip also gives out like a new paradigm, and that is also not be able to be credited because it's like very late. But Opwip also talked about cost effectivity and tackling that, dictating what's best for them, rational autonomous decisions, blah blah blah. Yeah, those are fair rebuttals. And then effective medicine, faster, in dangerous situation, larger share for people to go out. Reduce incentive for healthcare to improve, complacent. It makes healthcare complacent. I really macam not satisfied with this argument. Why would Ops say that it reduced incentive for healthcare to improve? Like, it does not have any logical link. Why would aggressively promoting alternative medicine would make the current healthcare complacent when it's already existing nowadays? So why would promoting one type would undermines the other? Like, because they are from different entities. These are from businesses, like integrated businesses, their own businesses, right? But healthcare is from our government, and healthcare is a different body than alternative medicine practices. So I don't see the analysis and the logical link to that for side opposition. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's all for me. I hope you're all satisfied with my opinion. Yeah, thank you.
Do you have the best speaker?
Oh, I never tell
Oh,
the best
okay.
speaker. Yeah. Oh, did the previous edges tell?
Yes. Previous for me lah. Previous round,
Oh,
I
I
asked the best speaker.
I think that's I wait, did I rank them yet? I think the best speaker, that there's like two people from both sides. There are two people that get like higher scores. So yeah, there will be two people that I will not reveal who. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay, thank
And good luck
you
for your
for the
next round.
deliberation. With that, the House of Parliament is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.